We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming.
Shepard to ground team. Status report.
Jack here. I'm tagging him as they come, but feel free to call for an exit at any time.
Head to the Normandy. Joker, prep the engines. I'm about to overload this place and blow it sky high.
Roger that, Commander.
Easy shot.
Hey, what's wrong?
I just had this crazy dream where the Reapers were using a weird worker ant alien race in order to kidnap millions of humans at a time so that way they could melt down our genetic material in some sort of motor oil for this new human Reaper hybrid. Like, they were programmed to harvest intelligent organisms and save them and preserve them as some kind of weird answer to life rather than be a fleet of self-independent, self-aware robot overlords with immeasurable power with a strange creator that we still had to deal with.
Well, Shepard, you know that Sovereign is a Reaper, and each Reaper is its own entity, that they're beyond.
Transcends your very understanding. We are each a nation, independent, free of all weakness. You cannot even grasp the nature of our existence.
Yeah, I know. Could you imagine that the Council would let a Council race, nonetheless, be in direct threat of attack from the same enemy that wiped out at least a dozen Alliance fighters single-handedly the last time that they were here? And on top of that, that they'd been kidnapping us for months or years with no direct action from the Council whatsoever? That's just crazy. YouTube thinks I need an intro, even though I think it's lame. I don't think you'd be so stupid, I would have to remind your brain. It's the Clueless Gamer Show. Yeah, so by now pretty much everyone looks at Mass Effect as a big missed opportunity. BioWare EA had the chance to tie up its loose ends, show the culmination of not only their hard work, but your hard work as a fan, to show your dedication to this company, their team, and their game, that it wasn't going to be tossed directly out the window in the most sensor-integrated multiplayer gimmick that anyone has ever seen in their entire life, and it just happened to be slapped on a 5+ year exclusively single-player experience. And let me just repeat that. This is a single-player game franchise that it comes from a company with over 15+ years single-player game experiences, and it forces you to play in a loot box-infested Gears of War copy multiplayer slow grind sensor best to unlock the best ending. This is like having the endgame of Game of Thrones be decided by how many copies the last book sells. You know, they tried to put a band-aid on the censorship of a franchise by making a sit-and-wait app, so that way you could just go to N7HQ or whatever and mine Bitcoin for EA, but not only along with the mutilation of the main menu screen with the botched editions of the Galaxy at War and the multiplayer features, they also decided to take it a step further and give players the opportunity to not even manually subject themselves to the game and allow the dialogue to self-play. So that way you don't even have to deal with the sad realization that BioWare EA just killed Shepard and left you with only the living embodiment of the Holy Spirit, savior to the lost, warrior of the helpless, or some censor kid. I literally couldn't remember a single neutral option throughout the whole Mass Effect 3 game. I'm not saying they don't exist, I'm just saying that you're probably more likely to find a needle in a haystack. Saying that Shepard had actually died at the beginning of the second game and was replaced by some sort of high-tech VI that Cerberus used and implemented it with the morality of a Krogan still would have been more true to who Shepard is than whatever the heck you're playing in the third game. The neutral option was something that really helped you as a player just kind of get begrudgingly pulled along with kind of the way the game was supposed to go, since you know, the maps that BioWare always had were mostly linear with very large expanses for you to visit and explore around. It's just, they lost their heart in the third game. It had no soul, you know? It was just I'm just gonna come out of the gate with it all over again. I hate Mass Effect 2. I hated everything about it when it first came out. Censor. 6 out of 10 game, and that's because the story was using elements that it picked up from my Mass Effect 1 game, and that made me feel really good. And, you know, obviously the atmosphere was just wonderfully crafted. I loved walking around through the worlds and the world hubs, just kind of taking in everything, listening to the people, getting side quests by listening to the people, like looking at all the sights and the scenery and being able to visit the Citadel again. Talk to some of my old companions from the first game. That was really nice, and it felt really good to play through that. Shepard as a protagonist, even though, to me personally, FemShep, her voice sounds like nails on a chalkboard to me, and I can't stand listening to that voice actress. She is more wooden than Brie Larson, and listening to her makes me want to go to sleep rather than play the game. The character development was awesome. I put that mostly in part due to the fact that the game mainly revolves around your companions, in which that they take up the majority of this main quest, actually, where preparing them is the main focus of the suicide mission, rather than going and saving humanity. Side note, it's just better to do the companion missions ASAP and get all the side quests done before getting the Reaper navigation upgrade. It's the best way to save as many people as possible. The exploration from 1 to 2 was definitely cut down since all the Mako sections were eliminated and replaced with an admittedly more convenient scanning system that I personally didn't like because I felt like it was really slow and tedious on PC. It might just be my mouse or my settings, I don't know. I could never get it to go as fluidly as I remember it on console, which has been even further gutted and is now just kind of like a light exploration element with admittedly a bunch of flavor text that goes along with the planets and a lot of lore if you really want to dive into that. I guess I would have found it a lot better if they just took the first game, didn't fuck with the engine, and just left it as that solid experience that they had, just like they did with Baldur's Gate and just like they did with Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. If they would have kept it further away from being a Call of Duty Gears of War gameplay kind of game, because I didn't like Gears of War couldn't stand that. And as for Call of Duty, it's just kind of a staple if you ever want to play multiplayer with friends in school to have a Call of Duty game. It just would have been better for them to not add all this shit into the engine, leave it how it was, and really hammer out all the story details. Would have made for a much more solid gaming experience, or the finale of their most, you know, probably recognizable franchises. I think Mass Effect is probably more known about as a BioWare product now than Knights of the Old Republic or Baldur's Gate, although I could be totally wrong about that. I might want to go fact check myself really quick. Actually, we can do a live fact check here together. Oh yeah. Yeah. Mass Effect had the ultimate chance to essentially become the Star Wars of video games, and just as likely to be the biggest forerunner in sci-fi culture next to Star Trek. But they had to make it blatantly obvious that they wanted to spend as much time giving us fun and well-rounded weapon upgrade systems as they wanted to waste their time showing you that they had gays and minorities inside of their game. James shouldn't have existed, and the shuttle pilot was so ham-fisted, I was okay with it, but, you know, if you really wanted me to know that he had a husband, just let me talk to him. This is the third game in this series that has already had 2 games prior before it, 4 years of development in between, and, you know, that is about 120 hours altogether if you explore everything. You know, if you don't trust me by now to talk to all the characters that you put inside of your game, just take that chance away, you know? Just take that accessibility away. Just give me the sci-fi Call of Duty game. Take away the option to let me participate inside of the dialogue, and just put me on the rails, you know? I'm just disappointed. To me, BioWare EA is not strong and brave for being so pandering that they have to put this character next to essential hardware inside of your ship that you're going to need in order to upgrade your weapons. And you have to stand there next to him and you have to listen to his beloved husband and his last words as he's blown to total sensor bits away by a Reaper blast. I had the same experience of having heartbreak for someone in Mass Effect 2, where I got to talk to them and, you know, explore their life and the situations that made them the person that they were, and I didn't have to get that forced down my throat, you know? It just makes me think, why did they have to put a gay character in such of a bad scene rather than structuring a story mission around an individual that just happens to be gay? The time they spent doing this, in my opinion, could have been better devoted to Ash and Kaidan, who sat out the entire second game, and they were pretty much the only available romance in the first game, since Tali and Garrus weren't available, and you had Liara, and I don't know, I wasn't really into aliens. So, instead of fleshing out those characters throughout the second game, they just have them sit on the sidelines, and when they bring them back into the third game, they have their skull sensor caved in and they're taking out for about 3/4 of the game. And even when you get the opportunity to play with them, BioWare gives you the option to kick them off onto Admiral Hackett's ship. I don't know why BioWare doesn't like any of the characters that they made in the first game, but those were my favorite characters. Instead of making an entire new minority character, Ash and Kaidan both look Mexican. Just develop them better. I don't know if you guys ever heard of a place called Spain, where there's light-skinned people that speak better Spanish, but you can just have them say, you know, I come from Barcelona, instead of having James say cringy censor. Like,
He's always like that. You need to chill out, Esteban.
So you do care, Mr. Vega? Or is that the Cerveza talking again? Especially given Mr. Vega's love of mid-air collisions.
To save the day.
censor.
I share that duty with our illustrious Mr. Vega. Though I believe the only weapon he really cares to maintain is himself.
You know you love the show, Esteban.
Same. You know, be more inventive about the incorporation of people that you want to represent. Don't just be like, we need a black guy and a brown dude, a squinty-eyed person, and some bean counter and a gay. James's stupid little censor insecurity about his soldierness being as cool as it should be, and whether his censor is as cool as he thinks it looks, and him having doubts about whether he wants to be a censor N7 member when the whole entire galaxy is under Reaper invasion is censor laughable. Amigo, por favor, get spaced. Oh, and don't even get me started on Ling Ling. Censor. Hell Puppy Company? Get the censor out of here. Why the censor is Cerberus here? And I don't want to hear that stupid, oh, the splinter fractions are the ones that thought they could control the Reapers. Censor. Alright, I don't want to hear none of that. But I want to give EA BioWare a little credit. Just because you fired all the good writers doesn't mean I won't acknowledge you great programmers. You might have butchered your story for your world, but the handling of Shepard inside the game, to me, has never felt better, so long as I don't have to try and use the cover system. Shooting guns feels awesome, except the submachine gun might bounce around like a little kid on meth, but everything else, pretty tight. The abilities are much more fun with the more cooldowns you get, and grenades make a more than welcome comeback. Mass Effect 2 did admittedly make me think that the combat was going to get worse, but I was proven wrong and I found myself enjoying the firefights. I'm not just saying that because of armor-piercing ammo. Mass Effect 3 really did smooth out a lot of the rough patches that were left from Mass Effect 2, especially in the Insanity mode. I felt like it was kind of, well, insane that every single character had a shield or a barrier, and Mass Effect 3 really evened that out. It focuses a lot more on enemy team composition and makes the fights a lot more engaging with an amped up AI that now can use grenades to flush you out of cover rather than just everyone waiting and shooting and sitting behind cover. Mass Effect 1 was a 9 out of 10 for me. A true sci-fi role-playing game with a world brimming with potential in order to be the next staple in mainstream culture. Mass Effect 2 was a 6 out of 10 game with very fun gameplay experiences that left me with more questions than answers, but it wouldn't shake the confidence that I and many others had for the potential that it would claim, and it left me even hungrier for what would happen next. And Mass Effect 3 is a fat slap in the censor for everyone who bought the previous games, and a big middle finger up the censor to all the lore junkies by not letting us see exactly how the galaxy would truly act during a galactic invasion from a foreign entity, and instead makes you a stupid delivery boy who needs to go make everyone in the galaxy play nice, even though they're gonna censor you if you don't have any internet because you can't get your galactic readiness up. 4 out of 10. If I see that little censor kid again, I'm gonna go to Canada and have Antifa burn your studios down. How's that for a middle finger, BioWare EA? And I'm gonna be looking for how your remaster turns out. I'm not lashing out because I'm stuck at home. It's against my censor civil rights that you made a finale of your most successful franchise accessible to newcomers, so that way they didn't have to start from the beginning, just like me and everyone else. You might have given me and all the fans the gaslight, but it didn't stop me. I came, I saw, I stopped the Turians from blowing up Tuchanka, I stopped the Solarians from sabotaging the Genophage, I ended the 300-year between the Quarians and the Geth, and there's nothing stopping me from ending these stupid censor war with these god censor spider robots.
in chaos. I get paid, more cash, I'm out of this game. It's crazy, I get more money by killing these fools now, ain't that funny? I get paid, more cash, I'm out of this game. It's crazy, I get more money by killing these fools now, ain't that funny? Look around, tell me what do you see? I want a dick now, get like me. It's a rap by the count of 3, and it's all being filmed on Shock TV. Yeah, it's me, I'ma do my best to rip to your chest, mangle your flesh, dangle your neck, fatten my check. I don't really care if I got your respect. I just slaughter, don't be bothered. Watch where you step, it might be hot water. You oughta pay me now, cause right now it's about to go down.